Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Back to the fight algorithm. Wow. I am first gonna start by deeply apologizing. We have not been reliable. Um, we've been missing due date after due date, fight after fight. Um, I know I made that EA video a week or two ago. But as far as fight cards go, we have not been doing good about giving you previews or post thoughts. I've been doing okay on the Instagram and the social media side, but still, that hasn't been great. Doesn't really matter why, in my eyes at least. Just that as a creator and a person who wants to build this as a brand, I've been failing. So going forward, I hope that I'm able to keep a more steady release schedule. But with that being said, obviously things happen, life happens. Sometimes you just, get that luxury. Anyway, today we are talking about UFC Noche. It's a big, big fight card with a lot of repercussions for a lot of people. I think that when you get something like this fight card where it's free and it's a championship fight, it's obviously going to be very popular, but also it's going to be big, especially for the reason that this fight is on this date, and it's built the way it's built. For those of you that don't know, when I'm recording this today, actually at 3:05 a.m. on September 16th, is Mexican Independence Day, and that's basically the whole structure this card is based off of. From top to bottom, there's Mexican fighters, there's Mexican representatives. Tracy Cortez has been one that's been really pushed out there this week, and I mean rightfully so. It's been a year since she's fought, but she's still in my mind one of the top tier fighters in her division. But is not on the main card, which I will admit is a little weird, but I understand she hasn't fought in a year. But without further ado, let's start. Don't know much about these two. I'm going to be completely honest. They're not the biggest names. But once again, I'm going to stress to people, please do not just tune out a fight or a fight card simply because you don't recognize the names. Because look, okay, so from my perspective, since UFC 267, barring UFC 282, I've not missed a pay-per-view event in those up until now. And I don't plan to miss this one, so don't worry. But what I'm saying is I'm devoted to watching these things. And some of those cards, trust me, with their names, I was like, I don't know. This just doesn't really excite me, but I want to go. I want to have that interaction. I want to go enjoy myself. It's my way of going out. Anyway, but you go to some of those cards and watch them in the theaters or watch them however you watch them, and you realize, holy moly, I made the best decision of my life because, well, the guys whose names aren't recognized all the time sometimes can be the best fights because they're hungry. It's like that argument on why you should watch college sports over professional, because professionals are already making millions of dollars and they're not hungry anymore. They don't want it as bad sometimes or whatever. In a sense, this is the essence of that. We've seen it with a lot of top tier fighters, not to just beat the same drum here, but Connor, they get all the money in the world and their hunger dies off a little bit. So, as you can see here, if you're watching this via video, 37% defense, 48% defense. I imagine that's strike defense. I'm using a new system here. I don't purely want to just keep going over the stats with you guys just because I feel like that can be so bland sometimes. It's not giving you my honest thoughts. But I don't know much about these first two fighters, so I can't give you, or these first two fights, too much. Are they both? Oh, no, one's Canadian. Yeah, I don't really know about these guys. This one's a lightweight fight. What's the first one? Featherweight. As you can see here, I mean, whoa. I mean, there's just a lot here, guys. But anyway, bantamweight fight. Wow. From here on, this card's phenomenal. Raul Rojas Jr., a big hype train, and a lot of people have been using that against him after his last performance. Look, he came up really short in his last performance. Absolutely 100% true. However, what people are forgetting is he's only 18 and he's already working harder than some of these guys who have been in the game for who knows how long and are complaining, oh, well, this 18-year-old's getting all the spotlight and stealing it from me. Well, he's at every possible booth, expo, and whatever, getting his name out there. So that's the work he's putting in. Whereas you may think you're too big time for that, and that's not everyone. I get people have lives outside of fighting, but still, that's part of it. And two, the dude's only 18. The fact that this kid wants to, at 18, instead of going out and partying nonstop, wants to be in the gym working his butt off to become the youngest UFC champion is admirable. I wish more people his age had that mindset of forget the partying, let's get to work. The world would be in a better place, in my opinion. But regardless, Terrence Mitchell, 15-3. It's not a great record, or it is a pretty great record. Sorry. They both are coming off losses. Mitchell's got a slight height advantage, slight. Raul Rojas Jr.'s got a little bit of weight on him. I don't know if these weights are accurate because they're weighting at bantamweight, which means they shouldn't be at featherweight weight. I don't know. Sometimes, like, on the first fight, it had one of the fighters listed with the 0-inch leg reach, which I didn't know they were allowing amputees with no legs into the UFC now. That wasn't a jive at anyone who has that situation. Sorry. It's late. Kevin Holland versus Jack Della Maddalena. Oh, sorry. I'm dumb. I am picking Raul Rojas Jr. for I hope a decision win. I think the key is not him finishing the fight. It's great if he can finish it quick, obviously. But after his last fight, I think we need to see him in a fight where he comes out on top, but it's a dog fight, where it's not just him cruising past these people. You know, see him in that tough position, put through a little bit of adversity. But, yeah, I have him winning. I'm going to say by submission. Jack Della Maddalena versus Kevin Holland. I have Della Maddalena winning, without a doubt. In my mind, anyway. Arguably by knockout. Della Maddalena, guys, I mean, he is one of my favorite. He probably is my favorite up-and-coming fighter He's definitely up there. Definitely up there. I hope it's a 5-rounder. I don't know. This won't tell me. Which is just dumb. Let me see the betting odds here. All right, it's really not going to tell me. That's annoying. I guess that's why we have Google. Just go here for a second. Yeah. Okay. So I know it's probably not going to be just because Kevin Holland's a part of it. No dig on Kevin Holland necessarily, but I believe he has had problems with people wanting to do 5-round fights in the past, and especially since he took this on late notice, I don't really see why he'd want to do it'd be understandable that he wouldn't want to do a 5-round. However, I would like to know, and so far I'm just getting nowhere. Okay. As far as I can tell, which isn't much. Yeah, I think it is 3. Fortunately, it's a co-main event. I'm sick and tired of co-main events. I mean, this is a big enough card where it could have been made a pay-per-view. Okay, so let's not do this junk where the co-main is not 5 rounds. Why does no one want to do 5 rounds anymore unless it's for a belt? Like, that's how you get to the belt. People are like, oh, I'm getting passed up. It's because you're over here in press conferences and stuff saying, I'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place, any amount of rounds, doesn't matter, to the death. And then when you're called upon to put your money where your mouth is, you're like, nah, but I'll do it at 3 rounds. I don't really want to do 5. Like, come on. Now I get, late notice. It wouldn't make a ton of sense for the specific fight, and I'm not trying to necessarily dog on these fighters because I understand, I don't know everything. I'm not all-knowing. I don't know why they say no or what to this or that. But it is a problem. And I think that it needs to be fixed and addressed because co-main events are supposed to be 5 rounds. Most of the time, I mean, pay-per-view cards, they're championship fights. And when they're not, now they're making them down to 3 rounds. No one wants that. Okay, let me rephrase. None of the fans want that. Like, Tahara, Jan Blachowicz. Why couldn't that have been 5? You think we wouldn't have wanted to watch 5 rounds of those guys? Granted, I understand there's some factors, but still, just something for you all to think about. Anyway, I take Jack Della Maddalena by knockout in the 2nd round. Grasso versus Shevchenko. Oh boy. Well, I can tell you right now who's going to get the louder crowd reaction. That's going to be Grasso. Mexican champion. The only one left, may I add. Earlier in the year, there were 3, and they were doing press events and junkets where they were talking about how incredible it is, which, okay, I'm going to be completely honest. One of those was an interim, so not fully, but it was still appropriate for him to be there. I'm not trying to take away from Yair Rodriguez's accomplishments at all. I'm just making sure that it's known that was the case. Anyway, they were doing press junkets talking about how much it means that, they get to represent their home country, and Mexico is champions now, and they're the Mexican champions, all this different stuff. Now 2 out of those 3 have lost. Good fights. Well, okay. Yair was doing pretty good in the Volkanovski fight, but Moreno was an absolute dog who, it was a very close decision he lost. Not saying that it was a wrong decision, I'm just saying it was close. Valentina, just an absolute warrior. Grasso has the momentum. Will have fans and crowd on her side. But I still think she comes up short. I think when you make a woman like Valentina Shevchenko look the way you did in your last fight, I mean, Valentina was winning. Obviously, in my mind anyway. Then she made a really stupid mistake that just kills me to see every time. And I'm sure it's killed her. Just because you can so obviously tell it was a mistake, and I think she may have even admitted this. And it just, Grasso expertly countered that, took that away from her, and made a phenomenal upset. But no, I think Valentina is looking to remind people, especially with all the criticism she's gotten over being on the cover of UFC 5, which, that reminds me, shout out to Alexa Grasso, because she was asked about this on press day. Oh, do you feel disrespected? Do you feel it's wrong that she was on there? And I feel like almost fans and media, whatever, were trying to bait her into, sparking something there. She was like, no, she lost, but that doesn't take away from all she's done. Like, you look at 7 title defenses, active UFC champion who never really backed down from a fight, was going up in weight classes, challenging people. Like, she's an absolute warrior. She was super respectful, and I got to give her credit for that. But I feel like she's kind of like Roy Jones Jr. when he came back and dropped that rap song. Y'all must have forgot. I mean, it would be hilarious if that's what she came out to, and then just absolutely bloody massacred Alexa Grasso. No offense, but I just feel that would be pretty funny. But yeah, I feel Shevchenko, if she strikes like she's striked in the past, doesn't make the same careless mistakes, and doesn't, I don't want to say doesn't play on the ground, because she was winning on the ground. But if she's going to play on the ground, she's got to land bombs. Because here's the problem. Let's say I'm Valentina. I want to make a point. Making a point on the ground is going to be a little bit harder than on the feet. Now, Grasso has amazing boxing and amazing boxing power. But I think the key to Shevchenko winning this is timing counter body kicks to the liver. Whether that's teeps, whether that's side kicks. No spinning. Don't throw a spinning side kick unless you know it's going to land. And be very, very careful where you are at in the cage when you throw that. But no, I feel that honestly Shevchenko will come back and win this fight after their last performance and fight. So those are my predictions for UFC Noche. Thanks, you guys.